Alright guys, this last video for product property, I'm going to go over number 4, 5, 6, and 7. But I'm going to kind of add some numbers that aren't on the note sheets there originally for you. So for example, for number 4, put a 2 right in front of that square root of 32. Number 5, put in a 3 before that root 75. And number 7, let's put a 2 before that square root of 500. Okay, so we haven't seen examples where you have a number times a square root. I'm still going to do the problem the same way as 1, 2, and 3, but at the end I have to make sure to multiply it by 2, this number on the outside. Alright, so key thing, this number 32 on the inside, I'm asking myself, what are perfect squares that go into the 32? And there's actually a couple on here, and again I'm going to go back to the list. So 32, there's actually 2 numbers that go into it. 4 goes into it, and 16 goes into it. Now remember, to make this easier, let's pick the smaller number. Let's pick the bigger number. That's going to give me the less amount of work. So 16 goes into 32 2 times. So let's split that up. So when I split this up, I'm going to just bring down this 2. And then I use the product property and say this is equal to the square root of 16 times the square root of 2. Well, square root of 16 is on the list. 4 times 4 is 16, so the square root of 16 is 4. So I have 2 times 4 and then times the square root of 2. Now, the last thing, this is the only thing that's different from the first 3 that we just did. Here we can multiply because they're both outside of the square root. So 2 times 4 is 8, and then our answer is 8 times the square root of 2. Alright, so we just add that one step in there at the end. Okay, let's go to number 5. So number 5, remember, add that 3 on the outside. So put this in your notes, this 3. And then this, square root of 75. Well, 75 is not on the list, but again, I'm going to ask myself, what number on that list goes into 75? And there's only 1. And again, just to kind of go back up, the only number that goes into 75 is this, the 25. So 25 times 3 is 75. So we're going to split this up using the product property. Okay, first we're going to bring down the 3. Square root of 75, that splits up to the square root of 25 times the square root of 3. Okay, again, keep bringing down the 3. Now the square root of 25 is 5. Right, not square root of 5, it's just 5. And then root 3, we can't take the square root of 3, so I just drop that down. And then the last step, 3 times 5 is 15. So we get 15 times the square root of 3. Alright. Number 6, there's no number out in front. But let's see, the only perfect square that goes into 54 is 9. And guys, while you're doing this, use your calculator. Like I would take all these numbers in the square root and see if 4 goes into it, 9 goes into it, 16, 25, 36, all the numbers that are perfect squares that are on the list. So the only number that goes into this is 9, and it goes into it 6 times. So I split it up to the square root of 9 times the square root of 6. Square root of 9 is 3, and then square root of 6 you can't simplify, so this is just 3 root 6. So that was like 1, 2, and 3. All right, last one, number 7. So add this in your notes, this 2 on the outside. All right, and then 500. Okay, you got a bigger number here. So when I go to my perfect squares, you're gonna have a bunch that goes into it. Like 4 goes into 500. I believe 25 goes into it. But the biggest number that goes into it is this 100. All right, so keep going until you get the biggest perfect square that goes into the number inside the square root. And in this case, it's 100. 100 goes into 500 5 times. So when I go down and show the work for this, when I split this up, again, I just bring down the 2. It's kind of just chilling on the outside. This square root of 500, I split this up to square root of 100 times the square root of 5. Okay, keep bringing down the 2. And then the square root of 100, that's a perfect square, that's 10. Because 10 squared is 100. So I have 2 times 10. Square root of 5 cannot simplify. So I just bring that down. And then the last step, I multiply this. 2 times 10 is 20. So we get 20 root 5. And then remember, I can't multiply these because this 20 is on the outside. It's not in the square root, and this is. So this is our answer. All right. So like the previous videos, the key is still looking at that list of perfect squares and seeing it divides into it. I just added in this list that if there's a number on the outside, remember at the end, multiply it by the other number that's on the outside.